On Wednesday, the 6th of August 2025. It's Coffee Time with Peter Gomez live on West Coast Radio, and we have a guest. It's not something we used to entertain in the past because of time constraints, but keeping people out is even more difficult to manage now, with almost everyone choosing Coffee Time to share their story. So this morning, we are joined by politician Mr. Ousainou Allen, interim leader of the National Alliance for Accelerated Advancement. Good morning, Mr. Allen.
Good morning, Mr. Gomez.
You're so new, I started out greeting you as Gillen. Yeah. Tell us about NAFAA, National Alliance for Accelerated Advancement.
Thank you. I greet you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greet the Gambians in country and outside. We appreciate the gesture of allowing us to express what NAFAA is about. NAFAA, National Alliance for Accelerated Advancement, it's a political party in the making. We've submitted documentations to the Independent Electoral Commission, awaiting their formal approval. It came about during the lead to the 2016 elections, where a group of youths, also we had some people, seasoned experts, we were discussing about the state of the country, and we observed that there was this tendency that there might be regime change. And based on the little travels we've done and the observations we've seen in different countries, we realized that it's also an opportunity for opportunists to cash in. And for love of country, we didn't want that to happen to our country. We just exchanged ideas. We were not in a position to really influence anything, but we had hoped that those who took it upon themselves to bring about that change would factor this element in. That is, in every country's history, there's something they call critical junctures. In Gambia, we had colonialism for about 150 years. When we were given independence, there was one critical juncture. Gambia should have defined what the Gambia is, who the Gambian is, and reshaped the trajectory of our country, because the institutions that were set up by the colonialists were extractive in nature. They didn't come to be good buddies with us. They came because there was a need. There was something missing in their homeland that they needed our resources, our personnel, our manpower to fill that void. So if they pack up and go, it would have been more prudent for us to sit and said we need to now build a Gambia that's reflective of our norms and values, our history, because the history was abruptly disrupted by the colonialists. And this is what we felt was needed at that critical juncture. Fast forward 1994, there was another critical juncture where there was overwhelming support for the junta at the time. And they had the fear factor element also, where they could have shaped the Gambian identity, created a new Gambian. Unfortunately, for one reason or the other, they also missed the opportunity. And we had another critical juncture in 2016 with widespread support locally, both locally and abroad. Donors, partners in development, everybody welcomed the new dispensation. But unfortunately, we have the perpetuation of that colonial system. And this is why NAFAA decided to come into the fray and try and change that dynamic so that Gambia can now realize that sovereignty that we so long yearned for.
Okay, so for you, what should the Gambia be and what should the Gambian be?
Okay, the Gambia is a piece of land that is within the Sahel belt. And this Sahel belt has long history. Three of the greatest civil empires were found in this belt. And this history...
Namely, in case...
that is the Ghana Empire, the Songhai Empire, and the Mali Empire. And this history did not just come about just like that. It is based on a civilization that people were living. And this history lasted for centuries, to the extent that you had a lot of others from other parts of the world who would come to these places to exchange ideas, diplomatic exchanges. We had well set up social setups. We had governance. We had our own judiciary. We had our own armies. We also had identity, to the extent that we had the first universities also in Timbuktu. So this history cannot be neglected when defining what the Gambia is, because everybody's history has a bearing in who you are today. If you look at Western history, they always brag about the Enlightenment ages. And these things are what they utilize to exert dominance over others who they do not find as cultured, or whose history have not been narrated or have not been expressed like they have. And once we determine that we are a civilization, that is the Gambia, we are part of a civilization, then it gives us that bedding, that footing, that as a civilization, then we are not just people that can just follow. We have to chart our own path, and it's been charted before. We just need to go back and reflect it in today's realities. And who the Gambian is we need to determine our history, our future, what the future holds for Gambia, and the Gambia that we want. We want a Gambia that is competitive, not only in the sub-region, but globally. And in so doing, we need to now see who that Gambian is that will propel our Gambian nation to reach those heights. The Gambian that believes in himself, the Gambian that believes in his country, that believes that he belongs to a civilization, he belongs to a sovereign country.
He or she
belongs to a sovereign country. The Gambian that respectful of time, tolerant, that thinks critically, that is religious. It's very important. The Gambian that also is innovative. The Gambian that is entrepreneurial. You see, once you define these and you embed them within your curriculum, you discuss them within our bantabas on the radio, then you start having that ideal Gambian that will propel the country forward. Because a landmass filled with people, it's beautiful. But it's what the people do within that landmass that defines what that country's trajectory will be. The countries that determine these things, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Japan, whether it's Turkey, whether it's any of these countries that have risen so high that our own people cannot wait to go there to improve their lives, they made sure of these things. So unless we fix this issue within our country, we will continue to become perpetrators of, or we will perpetuate that colonial setup, that trap that they've put for us, and it's not taking us anywhere.
And it seems it's very easy to fix. From me, it's like this is just a matter of changing the education system, and everything is fixed. Or is it a bigger problem?
Yeah, it's a bigger problem
than I am understanding.
Yeah, it's deeper because the education system is one thing, but we also need to utilize creative arts in our drama series. You can see countries that really want to sell
their... That could still get down to education. If you teach drama in schools and teach drama the right way,
yes,
then the message...
No, actually, the bulk of the responsibility lies within the education sector, but also media will count. In our homes, it needs to be discussed. And these things, it's not difficult, but it takes a little bit of time because change, people are not very open to change. But if people see benefit in this type of change, then they'll be more willing to embrace it.
Okay. So what is NAFAA aiming to do? And if you get your registration, how does NAFAA intend to spread its message across the country?
Actually, we are not waiting for that registration to do this. We believe politics is service, and we are actualizing it as we speak. Yesterday, the NAFAA ward in Bakau organized a football tournament. Oh. Lots of youths came. We spoke to them. We discussed. We've opened WhatsApp groups. So this is how it's going to start. Transformation starts now. We use this. And you don't need to wait for things to start enacting that change that is necessary. It starts from today. So we've been doing it across the country. We've been communicating. We've been utilizing our social media handles. We've been talking to people in their homes. If this conversation reaches a critical mass of Gambians and they embrace it, we'll see that change.
Okay. And you call your different units in different places wards? Because I heard you say Bakau ward.
Yeah, because Gambia has 120 wards. So each ward needs representation from NAFAA. And that's the easiest way to, because the realities of Kanifing and Fajara might differ. The realities of Bakau and someplace like, let's say, Mahmoud Fana might differ. So the people within that ward feel and live the realities of their area. Someplace like Mahmoud Fana, all they need, not all they need, but one of the most important things they need is a health center. If someone is almost about to deliver at night, she might as well be patient till morning because there's nothing there that they can do.
So what's your reading of the current political situation?
It's toxic. It's a remnant of the colonial setup.
The toxicity?
Yes. Because, like I said earlier, politics should be service. Politics is service. What we've seen is politicians within the Gambia and political parties yes. in the Gambia, they have not really inspired patriotism in Gambians. They have not inspired unity amongst Gambians. And this is very problematic because in order to develop a country, you need a unified nation. You cannot develop a divided nation. And the anger that they show out
the politicians.
They might even not be angry, but they make sure that the followership is angry to the extent that I feel that some of that anger is what's pushing some of these youths to take these perilous journeys. Our history, when you look at our history, we are more of a consensus-oriented, collaborative people than adversarial. And what we've seen within the political space is adversary. Consensus you only see consensus when their interests align, personal interests align. You can see it at the National Assembly. Whatever affects the general masses, they'll be trading blows, trading words. And it reflects in the wider public, the way people behave. But whatever has to do with their personal emoluments, their benefits, crickets, you don't hear any sound. And this is also the extractive nature because they're benefiting from the people, they're not benefiting the people. And that's also a colonial legacy. So we need to also decolonize our political parties, like we need to decolonize our institutions. That's the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative.
5. Why would politicians want to rile the young to the extent that they are forced out of the country? I thought the future of any politician depends on the young people. They are the ones to give them their votes in the long run.
They might not necessarily do it intentionally. But it might be a consequence.
How? By saying nothing is working, the future is bleak.
Just keep painting a bleak picture, and not also encouraging them to work collaboratively and solve those issues that government might not necessarily reach. If something is not working in your household, if there's that old woman in the neighborhood whose roof is leaking, what can central government do with that? But if a group of youths come together, ñu jëndal ko benn parla, defal ko ko, wala few people put monies together and they change the one sheet of roofing. So those little things that they can do within a community, collaboration, actually it goes a long way to also building that Gambian identity of collaborativeness. And these are things that we don't see within the political space.
Yeah, but it would only be the opposition that would paint a bleak picture of the future for young people, because the party or parties in government would be saying the opposite to the young people. See what we are doing. It wasn't there last year. See what we are about to bring. Nobody else can bring this to you. That's the language you hear from the government side. So why would the youth not listen to the party or parties in government and rather go along with the people who tell them you don't have a future in this country, so go risk your life trying to get to Italy or to get to Spain or wherever?
Good question. The reason is those who eventually assume power, they start extracting. So rather than building inclusive institutions that prioritizes the needs of the population, they'll be extracting. So even if a project seemingly benefits the people, it's actually built so that maximum benefit goes to those who've been elected to oversee those projects. And the frustration that emanates from that leads the youths to start listening to alternative voices. And these alternative voices, the loudest of whom are from the political space, from the politicians, because we've not had within the media space, let's say, platforms like yours that encourage diverse views, so people can dissect the different informations coming here and there. We've been bombarded with entertainment, and it serves as a distraction to the realities of life in the Gambia. And I think as they are extracting, they wouldn't really be in the business of riling the youths up. They'll also try and get them to support their agendas, as they call it. But because the people are observant, they'll try to listen to alternative voices. And as they're listening to these alternative voices, the picture, although many of what is said, it's true, I think the route that is taken might be problematic. Because to fix something, you need to also dig deeper to see the root causes of these problems. Because these politicians, the elected ones, they come from homes. They come from society. Government is not just something. It's a group of people that come together to form that entity. And it is these very people that leave our homes and go and form government. They go and form the legislative. They go and form the judiciary. So what we see from these entities is what's at our homes. So we need to fix the problems also in society, so that those people will eventually go and they'll reflect correctly what is needed.
I'm sure you heard the slogan, "The youths are happy." What do you make of this slogan?
I think it's a political statement. Politics is about war. It's about strategy. It's a strategy of encouraging the youths that they feel that they are associated with. I don't make too much of it. I know the reality of the country depicts a different picture. But everybody has their rights to concoct whatever slogans. Our slogan is politics is service. So the politician need to serve the people, not the other way around.
Okay. And how is NAFAA structured?
We currently have an interim executive.
Alkali always insisted, whenever I said leader, interim leader, he would say back to me.
Yes, we have an interim executive. We also tried this inclusive governance that we promote. We try to also reflect it within our party.
How do you mean?
Inclusive as in since 2016.
If the interim leader is male, the deputy would be female.
Not necessarily male or female. Mm-hmm. It's about the people that you eventually serve. Mm-hmm. So if, let's say since 2016, we've been conceptualizing this. Mm-hmm. It's only last December I was elected to lead. So we've always been focused on talking to the people.
So why are you interim leader? You were elected to lead.
Once we get the formal registration, we'll go to Congress and we'll have the full executive. Okay. But in the meantime, we've been tasked with promoting the party's agenda. Okay. So it's about, if you say inclusive, it's about putting people first. So we consulted the people, we're talking with the people, we're engaging the population. And by the time we elect the full Congress, we would have had representation from across the country, and it will be inclusive enough.
And when you meet people to talk to them, this would be people that have been gone to by almost all the other parties, all right? They would have heard from party A, B, and C, promise A, B, and C. What do you tell them, and, how have they responded to your approach?
Because our approach also is different from the other parties. The general notion of, or the general practice within the political space, moy gisal kini bahana binum nyawe dalam bi nyari lef la sol.
Really?
Xam nga fasong yoyu non. Those things, they don't improve a country. They don't move people forward. All it does is pit us against each other. We go and talk to them. We don't promise.
You don't?
We don't promise people. Oh, okay. What we do is we ask people the needs of their communities. I'll give an example. Mm. We went and spoke to a group of youths, very ambitious youths. And they just wanted to build a bakery in their locality.
Yes.
But they were over ambitious in the way they framed their business plan. Mm-hmm. So we told them what is necessary is to have consistent power, a clean working environment, mm-hmm. a working baking machine, mm-hmm. and a good logistics arrangement. Once you do that, mm-hmm. then that's a good starting point. You don't need to be over ambitious. You need to buy a car here. We need to do this. We need to do that. Once you do that, then you can always grow from there. That's one. Secondly, mm-hmm. you have another community that have been crying for a health center. He said a health center or a health post doesn't necessarily have to be built from scratch. You can just rent a house, a room, a large enough parlor, toilets, a small place for a pharmacy, and that should suffice for a starting. Mm-hmm. That way you can, it will serve your needs, and eventually growth might emanate from there. When it comes to the youths, what are you doing? Lige amut. What is readily available? Can you do a quick IT course that you can do? Because IT, if you become an IT expert or literate, mm-hmm. you'll have an opportunity. So no. Lila, business lab. Why nonetheless, even within business, you still need IT skills. So these are things that we do. We engage people so that we look for alternatives. We look for solutions, not necessarily just rile them up and get them more angry.
Okay. And does the party plan to put up a candidate in 2026?
Yes. You see, if you're registering as a political party, mm-hmm. there's a portion where they ask whether you intend to contest in presidential, in mayoral, in local government elections. Mm-hmm. We ticked all of those.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you have 1 million for your presidential candidate. And hundreds of, thousands of dollars for National Assembly and whatever.
Yeah, everything in due time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but we have very committed very committed memberships who are willing to do what's necessary when the time presents itself.
In other words, they will, cough up all the funds necessary. You are not dependent on some big business or a godfather somewhere in the diaspora.
We hope there is a godfather somewhere.
maybe there is already.
Yeah, not yet. But the thing is, what we do is we put our monies where our mouth is. We put monies up first internally so that whoever comes is just complementing or adding to what we have. That way there wouldn't be an overwhelming donor, even if they bring something. Maybe their 5 million might be equivalent to our $10, but at least it's equitable. Everybody gives according to your means, and everybody contributes based on the belief in the political direction that we're taking this party.
And what do you make of, because every politician who's been here has been asked this question, what do you make of the National Assembly's hike of this election deposit?
It's extractive. It's still a remnant of that extractive nature because they waited until they got in and they decided to hike it. It's about consolidating power. But whatever hikes they bring about, we will make sure that we match these amounts because Gambians are fed up. Gambians need change. These amounts, Gambians will bring it about, and it's still going to our coffers if it's not used else for something else.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's your position on the stalling process of coming up with a new constitution for the Gambia to usher the country into a third republic? I mean, we've stayed stuck now for close to 10 years.
Yes. I don't think the objective should be being a third republic. That should not be the objective. The objective is to have a citizen-centered constitution, and the route that was taken is the long route. And I think at some point we had
which of the two routes, the 2020 or the 2020? Yes, the 2020 or the 2024. I mean, if you are talking about the drafts that were rejected.
Actually, we should have done an audit of the 1997 Constitution and replaced it with what was reflective of the aspirations of Gambians today.
Something similar to what Halifa Sallah proposed from the outset.
Exactly, because we've seen it over and over again with the proliferation of all these universities. It's about legacy as opposed to quality.
Oh, you don't think the proliferation of all these universities is necessary?
No, it's very problematic to me.
Oh.
Very problematic.
It's a pity we don't have time to, to push this on.
Because
if there's one ministry that is touted as working, it's the Ministry of Higher Education.
No, you wouldn't take the credit away from them. Mm-hmm. It's just...
but they're responsible for this proliferation of universities.
Yes,
now.
Maybe it's their point of view. I beg to differ. And I'm historic. Just to tell a brief history, I also established the Islamic Online University in Gambia.
Oh, you did?
And it's now the International Open University. And I've also established it in the sub-region as well. So I know a little when it comes to academia.
But in short, we have more universities than the country needs. Is that what you're saying?
No, we have less universities than the country needs, but...
I thought you said the proliferation of universities was unnecessary.
No, the procedure. We should have empowered the UTG. We should have empowered the UTG enough before we start creating all these other universities, because UTG is in a very sad state.
Oh.
And that's the national university. We should have empowered it enough. We have departments within the university that could have easily been empowered enough to not need a whole new university. And if UTG is empowered enough, it will serve wonders, because a country like Australia, they make more money from tuition fees than they make it from oil, sales of oil. But because they've empowered their universities, they have invested in the personnel who will come, these professors that will come with those high pedigrees, and they can also conduct research that will propel the country into innovation. You know, there's a whole lot that could have been done with UTG, but just spreading too thin might actually dilute the quality that we aspire for.
And just finally, who do you target with your information? The young people, or you also aim for elderly people like Mr. Gomez here?
No, we talk to every Gambian. We talk to every Gambian, but the youths, they resonate with us because we are within that space, that youthful space. But we particularly wish our women, their entrepreneurial nature, their hard work is rewarded accordingly. It's not rewarded. You see, you wake up this early to come to West Coast all these years. I've seen that you've moved about, this is the third time, I think.
True.
Yes.
Oh, you've been following West Coast Radio very closely.
Yeah, I'm a native of
Manjai,
these
Kotu,
areas.
and
Exactly.
Kotu again. That's true.
That's growth. Because I have a school. I've been moving also. I've not had the chance to own a place yet, but you move based on the demand, and usually it's growth demand. These women, their hard work is not rewarded because you're not seeing them uplifted from poverty. So that growth should be the measure, not all these matrices that they keep narrating to us every end of year. So for us, the target is the Gambians in general, but particularly those that really constitute the the larger portion of the population. That's the youth and the women.
What would you like to be your final message this morning?
Just to re-emphasize the fact that we have an administration in whose tenure every year that supersedes the last becomes harder. And that should not be the case. There should have been the necessary reforms to really empower Gambians enough to be motivated to stay, to reverse the downward trend of the Gambian dalasi, to reverse the downward trend of our economy, to reclaim our sovereignty, because that's the general notion now. Gambia doesn't own itself.
Who owns us then?
Foreign interests,
Like?
because the critical sectors, that is energy, transportation, technology, food, it's not run by Gambians. What more do we ask for? Even the financial sector, we're struggling. So these critical sectors, if it's not owned and run by Gambians, then there's a problem. So Gambia is a Rewi Terangala.
Are they not owned by Gambians because Gambians are not going into these areas, or Gambians are trying to get in and these non-Gambians are keeping them out?
I wouldn't say non-Gambians are keeping them out. I think it's a matter of policy. If there's a race within a country, the citizen should have the clear lane to dash to the finish line. Any non-citizen that comes needs to find some checks and balances that will also allow them to compete, but not on a level playing field, because there's a reason that the citizen is there. They need to really see themselves in this in their economy.
You run the risk of being labeled by maybe the parties in government as populist, if not xenophobic even.
No, actually, far from that. For us, we feel that every person who comes into the Gambia deserves a fair chance to make it, just like Gambians deserve a fair chance to make it elsewhere. What we are saying is there needs to be safeguards within the policy space for those who are Gambians so that they can also benefit. They are the larger population, so they need to benefit economically. And they are the ones who will also have more sympathy and mercy towards their fellow people.
Unfortunately, I've got to go. Ousainou, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
That's Ousainou Allen, interim leader of the National Alliance for Accelerated Advancement.